Hi guys, I'm back with another video. I hope you guys are all doing well and taking care of yourselves. This video is going to be quite emotional because I'm sharing something that's deeply personal to me, and it took a lot of courage for me to open up about this. I'm covering a significant phase of my life where I faced many challenges, both mentally and physically. I'm sharing my journey not just for my own healing, but also to help those who aspire to become a flight attendant. I think it's essential to understand the realities and high demands of this job. I hope by sharing my experience, I can offer insight and guidance to anyone considering this path. Before I start, I just want to give a quick trigger warning. In this video, I will be discussing sensitive topics like self-harm and suicidal thoughts. So if these topics are triggering for you, please feel free to skip this video. So right after graduation, I decided to apply for the job because I did not want to be dependent on my mom anymore. She worked incredibly hard her whole life and I did not want to burden her. A month before the training, I started preparing for the interview. One of the reasons why it was so difficult for me to quit the job is because I worked really hard. So I went for the interview and there were hundreds of girls. I felt so intimidated because those girls were so amazing. They were all so confident and some of them were even experienced. So I felt really intimidated because it was my first interview. Out of all the candidates, only 5 girls got selected and I was one of them. So it was an incredibly proud moment for me because it was the first time I had achieved something this significant. After that, I underwent 3 months of training, which turned out to be incredibly challenging. But I managed to complete the training and graduated after 3 months. After that, I relocated to Bangalore and started my work there. First few weeks were tough, honestly, but I thought it might get better with time. Few months went by and then I realized I was just really unhappy. I noticed how much I had changed. In that environment, there was nothing new to learn. Every day I was doing the same thing over and over again. It started to take a toll on me. I started crying and shaking every day before work. That's when I realized this job was just not for me. Whether it was a crew member who had been there for 10 years or someone who had just started a month ago, they were both doing the same thing basically. It was so repetitive and monotonous. And for someone like me who wants more from life, I just couldn't fit into that environment. I felt like it was slowly killing me. But being an only child, I had responsibilities. I couldn't just drop everything and go back home. So I kept telling myself it's just a phase and it'll pass. But it didn't. It only got worse. I reached a point when I even started breaking down during flights. I'd sit in the jump seat, trying to hold myself together, but then I just couldn't. So in between flights, I'd go to the lab and I'll just look into the mirror and I'll tell myself that, it's gonna be fine, just one more sector. But I kept trying, but it was just really difficult. Above that, I was completely alone in that city. I had no family, no close friends. After work, I'd come back to an empty house, too exhausted to even do anything, so I'd just cry myself to sleep every night. More than being physically tired, I think I was mentally and emotionally more tired. And I did meet a couple of really sweet crew members, but then our schedules would never align. And one of the reasons why it was so difficult was also because of the constant rotation of crew members. Every day you're working with a different crew member, and I'm very sensitive to energies. Imagine you're stuck in a confined cabin with someone for 10 to 12 hours. No matter how aware you are of the other person's energy, being in a cabin with someone for 10, 12 hours is no joke. And I started getting really affected by their energies. Sometimes by the time I got home, I would be completely drained with all the negative energy. While I did get the opportunity to meet new people every day and learn so much from them, there was just no creativity in the job. It was the same task repeated over and over again. And I couldn't live like that. I wanted to be in an open space, close to nature, and reconnect with myself. I felt like I was pretending to be someone I was not. That was really suffocating. And I'm someone who thrives on routine. But with this job, all that just went out the window. Sometimes I was waking up at midnight to go for work. Sometimes I'd come and sleep at midnight. Just all over the place. I couldn't eat properly, couldn't sleep properly, and I ended up on medication because of my health issue. Everything just spiraled, and that's when I became suicidal. I reached a really dark place. I started having crazy thoughts, and it's part of my journey that's really hard to talk about. I just started feeling that maybe it would be easier not to live. Tried harming myself a couple of times, but I just did not have the courage to do anything, so I just sit and cry myself to sleep. It still breaks my heart every time I think about how that transition happened, as in I used to be someone who was so high on life. From being someone who wanted to learn and grow and become the best version of herself, to becoming someone who didn't want to live to see the next day. It was heartbreaking. My weight dropped down to 47 kilo, almost 46. Things got even more worse when I started breaking down with acne because of stress and anxiety. I went to like 3 different dermats in Bangalore, and the doctor told me that I had grade 3 acne, which was really serious. And I started feeling so ugly. I was already going through so much in my personal life. Above that, this job was just killing me. But I decided not to take leave. That's where I went wrong, I think, because I thought it's okay, I'm gonna get better, skin's gonna get better, I need to like focus on work. So I did not take leave, and it was not possible for me to like take leave for weeks also, because we only have like limited chutti. Then after a couple of months, I went to see the doctor again because my skin was just getting worse, and he told me either take leave for 6 months or you quit the job. Given the nature of my job, it was impossible for me to like take 6 months leave. So I didn't make any decision at that time. I decided to go back home. I thought I could spend a month there, recover and come back, but then my condition only got worse. And there was a time when I had to make 2 of the most toughest decisions in my life. One is like way too personal, so I can't like say it here, but then the other one was to quit my job. I cried for weeks because I just could not come to terms with it. I worked so hard for that job, and it was like my ticket to independence. I did not want to burden my mom. It was really difficult for me to like make that decision to leave the job. After a while though, I realized that I'll figure something out in life. But if I keep working there, I won't be able to live. I always wanted to live a very meaningful life. Becoming a flight attendant was never my top priority. Like, I knew I had other passions, but I needed to start earning money, which is why I took the job. From the beginning only, I just planned to work for a couple of years and then save some money and focus on my passion. But as my mental and physical health started getting worse, I just realized that the job was not for me. There were many advantages of being a flight attendant. I got to visit amazing countries, meet such interesting people, and learn so much. Especially coming from a middle class background, staying in luxurious hotels is a big deal for people like us. I did enjoy those perks, but then they couldn't outweigh what I was experiencing mentally and physically. Even with the job stability, I knew that it wasn't for me. So that was my experience as a flight attendant and the reason I quit the job. Or if you're someone who's considering joining the airline industry, here's my advice. Be sure you know what you're getting into. If your only goal is to be a flight attendant, just go for it. And if you're just looking for experience, it will be very rewarding. But if you're like me, who wants more from life, who thrives on routine, if you love being alone, spending time with yourself, if you're sensitive to energies, this job is not for you, let me tell you that. If you're just doing this job for financial issues but you have other aspirations, please don't force yourself into it. Understand that what you see on social media is only a fraction of the reality. Many people think that being a flight attendant is just about serving people and then relaxing in hotels, but that's not the case. That's a misconception. Primary responsibility of a flight attendant is the safety of the passengers, which people don't understand. So think carefully before you apply for the job. Even if you're just doing it for fun and experience, remember that it comes with responsibilities. And know that the job requires a lot from you. One small mistake could have serious consequences. I'm not trying to discourage anyone. I'm just sharing my experience and what I went through. If you genuinely want to become a flight attendant, please go for it. You'll learn so much and have incredible experiences. And from there you can determine whether it feels right for you. If it does, great. If it doesn't, remember that life is long enough to explore different things. You can always leave the job and seek something else.